off-the-field issues have hampered him, but he seems to be finding his way in Edmonton.
Calvin McCarty takes the rock, but was tripped up in the backfield.
McCarty, the Eskimos' other Canadian back. Of course, they released R.K. Whitlock.
Were you surprised by that this week?
Not shocked. They've got a lot of depth at the position, as well as the Canadians. You heard the guys in the studio talk about it in the pregame. They also have Daniel Porter, who was fantastic for them down the stretch last year after Whitlock got hurt. It was a situation where it was a move they could afford to make, go in a different direction.
Old CFL barn burner. The 5-0 Eskimos taking on the 4-1 Bombers in a matchup of two division leaders. Advantage Eskies early on. Ricky Ray got him in the pool. Hits Jason Barnes for a 22-yard TD, 7-0 Edmonton. Bombers quarterback Buck Pierce, meanwhile, was back under center after leaving last week's game with a calf injury. He was picked off in the first quarter by Rod Williams, the pride of Alcorn State. But don't worry about Buck. He'd bounce back in a big way in the second quarter. And oh yeah, I think that calf injury isn't really an issue anymore.
2nd and 11. Pierce avoids it. How did he get away? Buck Pierce to the 30, to the 20. Could he score? Yes! Touchdown! What a crazy run by Buck Pierce!
Michael Vick, eat your heart out. Buck Vick rumbles 48 yards to the house. Bombers trailed by 2 at half, but they had all the momentum heading to the third, where Terrence Edwards plucks it off the head of Weldon Brown. It's a 29-yard touchdown. That gave Winnipeg the lead, and they weren't done there. With 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, Pierce airs it out for Clarence Denmark, who is listed at 5'11", but he plays like he's 6 feet tall. Great catch over Chris Thompson. The Bombers are on the move, and Pierce has another TD pass. After faking the pitch, he hits Corey Watson from 7 yards out, and after trailing by 10 early in the game, Winnipeg took a 10-point lead to the fourth quarter. That's where the best defense in the CFL would take care of the rest. Coming into this game, Ricky Ray had thrown just one INT through the first 5 games of the season. He was picked off 3 times in this ball game, including that one from Javon Johnson. And Ray might have been picked off more if he had time to get off the throws. The Eskimos' offensive line came into this game having allowed the fewest number of sacks this season, but they had no answer for that Winnipeg pass rush on Friday night. The Bombers got to Ray one time after another, and the sold-out crowd at Canada Inn Stadium was rocking, because for the first time since 1987, the Bombers start the season 5-1. They forced 5 turnovers in the game. They hand the Eskimos their first loss of the season, and you've got to like Winnipeg's chances of starting the season 6-1, because up next, they travel to BC to take on the basement-dwelling Lions. Speaking of those basement-dwelling Lions, well, they're 0-5, but hey, they've got Arlen Bruce III now. He was acquired from the Ticats earlier this week, but wasn't suited up. Guess who was suited up? Gene Mikowski. He always is. In fact, he surpassed Roger Aldag, loved him, for the most games ever played in a Rider uniform, so what better way to honor one of the best offensive lineman careers in CFL history by showing his quarterback gets sacked. Darian Durant's brought down, but it wasn't Gene's fault. And while the Riders' offense was struggling early on, the BC Lions had their first victory of the year in their sights. Geroy Simon, 62 yards for the score. 17-0 Leos. The Riders needed this late in the first half. With under 30 seconds to go in the second quarter, Durant hits Chris Getzlaff for a 13-yard TD. The Riders trailed by 10 heading to the third. It was still a 2-possession game in the fourth, but once again, their offense couldn't get it done. Durant is sacked. Wasn't Mikowski's fault, but for the first time this season, the BC Lions are victorious. Geroy Simon led the way offensively, and the Lions may have gone winless in July, but they're undefeated in August.